Hello, my name is Dr. Evan Hughes and welcome to the Vitality Project. Today's segment is going to be about how to exercise. Not specifically what kind of exercise, how to get yourself to exercise, specifically living in the Western world. Everyone agrees that exercise is good for the human being, and I'll take it one step further. You cannot be healthy anywhere near 100% your potential if you're not exercising your body, if you're not working it. And so what prevents us? Many people get gym memberships and then don't go, and they'll even buy equipment for their house and then put it down. Or they'll start a class and then make excuses and not make it. And that's called all of us. There's no blame associated. It's something that we all do. So here are some ways that I've found that will help people get past those barriers and start to exercise in your own life. Number one, if you're going to start an exercise regimen or change what you're doing in your training or exercise, you have to start in chaos. And what I mean by that is I've heard 100 times over, I'm going to wait until this is all set and then I'm going to begin. I'm going to wait until my job is more stable, until my kids start school again. I'm going to wait until I get over this cold or this small injury that I have, then I'll start. It doesn't work because you set yourself up into an environment, into an ideal and a paradigm where everything has to be perfect for you to exercise. That's the ego talking, and that's the intellect talking that would like to get an A on exercise. The body doesn't care whether you do a perfect workout or whether you do a lame workout. It just needs to work out. It just needs to move. And so the best thing to do is after you've been fired, after you found out your kid got thrown in jail, after you found out the president got elected and the one that you didn't vote for, that's the time to start in the chaos and do it badly. Mess up your exercises, make it a little bit off balance for yourself. If you can start in chaos, then you can continue through everything. Another major principle I've discovered is you must get dumber to exercise. And let me explain. The intellect and the mind, our ego, really likes to look strong. We like to look capable. We don't like to look weak. And here's the funny thing about exercising and working the body. Vulnerability always precedes strength. And so what that means is when you work out, you become weak. You don't get strong. Now, when you go to sleep that night and then you eat enough nutrient-dense foods to replenish yourself, then the strength comes. But the first thing you have to do is get weak. Our minds and our intellect hate that. They don't ever want to look weak. And so something I like to share is Evans' rule. If you look cool while you're exercising, it was probably a waste of time. If you're doing push-ups, if you're lifting weights, if you're doing a dance routine, you want to do it to the point that your body is challenged. If you've gone through something and it was easy, there's no challenge to the body. You've never activated Wolff's Law to begin to build the bone. You've never accessed the SEDS principle of exercise, which causes us to adapt specifically to what we're doing. You got to look foolish. You got to shake a little. If that means you have to work out on your own, then do that. If it means you need to drive a long distance to work out with people who don't know you, do that. But you want to look foolish. Look and feel foolish while you're exercising, and then you're getting challenged. One of my favorite commercials is they've got a fellow who says, I pick things up and I put them down. And many of us have seen that where he's lifting. I often use that as a mantra when I'm working out because I come up with too many ideas. Because the intellect doesn't want to look weak. It'll stifle you. It'll say, maybe I'll invent some different exercises that are easier for me. And it's an unconscious battle that you go through. Get simple. Do an exercise until it challenges you, and that's it. Another barrier we find to exercising and growth is if you've changed something, the first thing that happens is you become unstable when you've changed your regimen. If I were to start ballet, for example, I wouldn't be able to walk the next day. Those ballet people are hardcore. Eventually, I would adapt to it. But the first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to get weaker at every body function in life while I figure out how much to train and my body begins to adapt to the strength. It's critical. Here's one you've never heard before, and this one might get me in trouble, but it's the truth. Fun is more important than safety. Let me say that again. We talk about safety first, last, and always. That's not true. It can't be true. And here's why. The safest thing of what it feels like to do with exercise is to always take it easy, look right, feel balanced, and not do too much. If you never challenge yourself, the older you get, the weaker you will get, and then you're guaranteed to be hurting yourself over time. You have to find something that inspires you, something that's fun, that keeps you going. It might be martial arts, it might be dancing, it might be weightlifting, it could be some kind of a combat sport or a contact sport with the potential for injury. What I have found is 10 years practicing as a doctor, the people who are getting injured in sports, not stupidly, but as a consequence of being active, are still healthier than the people who played it safe and never get injured, but don't exercise their body. You must be inspired, you have to get into it, and then, of course, manage the safety. Don't take foolish risks you don't have to, but it's got to be fun. The fun experience I had recently was tumbling down a hill with my son on a sled and having a 4-year-old boy carry his sled all the way up the hill and fly down and give out this giggle that I can't even possibly begin to imitate. But it was a giggle from within. It's like his soul was giggling. That's the kind of fun you need to have. And the higher we went on this hill and the further up into the woods and the more rocks and trees were in the way, the higher potential for injury, and the faster we went, the more he giggled. Right? Now, of course, I managed the risk as best I could, but we took a chance. And it was fun, and he was elated, and then he hauled the sled the entire way home, using his body, living off that fun. You gotta do it. Gotta be inspired. Another major principle in keeping your body safe as you continue to move through this inspiration that you found is understanding the difference between the pain of injury and the pain of getting stronger. When I was teaching gymnastics years ago, I had a bunch of kids and we were doing push-ups, and all the kids try and cheat the push-ups, and they try and do it in such a way they can make it look like they're working hard and they're really strong, but not using their arms or their body too much. And I said, all right, guys, hold on. Do you remember when you sprained your ankle, Billy? Yeah. Do you remember when you hurt your wrist on the bars, Tim? Yes. And I went around the injuries that I remember them getting over the past year, and they had healed, right? That's the pain of injury. You know what that feels like, right? Yes. Do 10 push-ups. They all did 10 push-ups for me. I said, do 10 more. They did 10 more push-ups. I said, do you feel pain in your arms and in your body? They said, yes. Do you feel how that's different from the pain of when you rolled your ankle? And they all said yes. They nodded their head. There's a major difference between those two pains. They're similar, but discerning that will allow you to push yourself and allow your body to remain whole. Here's another one in that vein. Many times we do 10 reps, 10 push-ups, 10 squats, 10 laps. Why did we pick the number 10? I'll tell you why, because we have 10 fingers, and we get used to working in multiples of 10. It's a psychologically satisfying number. It has nothing to do with your muscles, nothing to do with your joints, and nothing to do with your metabolism. The number 10 was picked from the ego. So the number of reps that you choose should be about feeling the pain of getting stronger and making sure that you're avoiding the pain of injury. The only way I know to get good at this is to mess it up and to laugh at myself and to allow myself the time to heal, to continue to move, and to be inspired. Make mistakes, stay as safe as you can, and have fun. Thank you for joining us for the Vitality Project.